This is Corporal Claudio Patino IV.
Awarded the Bronze Star and a Purple Heart, Claudio Patino IV served his nation in the U.S. Marine Corps and died at the age of 22 in combat in Afghanistan.
He was a young kid. Could have been me.
And now it's Patino's turn to be served.
He'll always be part of my life here at the cemetery.
Oliver Villalobos visits this gravesite in Riverside, California often and sometimes runs into Patino's mother.
During the course of the burial, I ended up talking to her and I said, "Oh, don't worry." I told her in Spanish, I said, "Don't worry, ma'am. I'm going to take care of your son. You know, he's in my hands, and I'm going to make sure that he gets everything he deserves and he gets treated with honor."
It was the first killed-in-action grave he dug.
He's a Marine like me.
But it wasn't his last.
After this experience is when I decided that I was going to be a cemetery caretaker for the rest of my career.
Villalobos started working at Riverside National Cemetery as a gravedigger.
This is my baby. I started here. I'm going to probably end up being buried here.
He's now the assistant director, there for veterans' families on one of their worst days.
If the job's good enough for your mother or your brother or your uncle, then it's good enough for the veteran. And if it's not, go back and do it again, because that's the kind of level of service that we expect and we demand that we give to our veterans, because we're all family here together.
It could be difficult sometimes, you know, to see someone lose a loved one. And we never forgot the loved ones I lost. I lost my mother. So when I see somebody lose their mother, you know, it's something that I can relate to, and it still hurts. So when they're in pain, we're in pain. You know, we feel the same way.
Some 60 miles east of Los Angeles, this is the National Cemetery Administration's largest and busiest cemetery. More than 300,000 veterans and their family members are interred here in Riverside, California, but the National Cemetery Administration wants to make more veterans aware of the benefits available to them and their families well after they're gone. The National Cemetery Administration says nearly 94% of veterans have access to a no-cost national or grant-funded cemetery within 75 miles of their homes. And yet, in 2022, only about 22% of veterans or family members were buried in a national or VA-funded cemetery. It's something VA Undersecretary Matt Quinn wants to change.
Now, I know that the choice of where to bury a loved one is a deeply personal one every family has to make. Many families have long traditions of using a particular plot.
Quinn says even if a veteran doesn't want to be buried in a VA-funded cemetery, there are other benefits available to their families after they die, including headstones or medallions.
Those three prongs is where we're trying to hit this the strongest, to make sure veterans understand, make sure the families understand, as well as the funeral homes that the family is engaged with.
In Riverside, Villalobos started his own outreach effort to raise awareness locally with something that resembles a credit card.
78,000 veterans are served by Loma Linda Healthcare, the VA Medical Center. In the back, they hold all the QR codes to all the documents necessary to find eligibility, your headstone, what national cemetery you want to be buried in. It's all here in this card.
On this spring day, a special interment. An unhoused veteran who was a member of an underwater demolition team and later the Navy SEALs.
It's a tough story. A lot of vets, go through it. A lot of us here have PTSD.
He was seemingly forgotten until the Unidentified Veteran Program matched him through the FBI database and called Riverside.
They didn't know what kind of a man he was, just sitting there in a corner somewhere in the street. But we got the chance to pay honors to him, and we did, so, we did our job.
It's grave sites like this one that stick with Villalobos.
He got the same love he did as a child at the end. So I think it's poetic justice. And, in the end, that's our job. And we always take care of our own. So we make sure, when we can, we do it.
The final way to honor and serve those who have served for us.
There's literally tens of thousands of stories out here. Tuskegee Airmen, Navajo Code Talkers, people like I told you, like Corporal Patino and Killed in Actions that gave their life for this country. And if they came out here and found these stories, I think it would be moving for everybody.
Maritsa Georgio, Scripps News, Riverside, California.